Radio 786, 100.4 FM.
It's Community Pulse on Radio 786 100.4 FM. I'm Gadija Ahjum. Thank you so much for joining us for this morning's edition on 100.4 FM. 9:37 is the time. We're going into the second half of our On the Journey segment. Today, speaking to Chelsea Augustine. She's a social worker at the Cape Flats Youth Development Program. And we're looking at the difference that they make in the lives of the youth and children on the Cape Flats. Now, they were established in 2017 already. And it's all about serving the youth and of the informal settlement, starting out then in the Vrygrond area. And of course, as Chelsea said, it's expanded quite a bit. The approach is holistic. And before the break, Chelsea was also saying to us that one of the areas that's often overlooked would be when it comes to mental health, the mental health of the young person. I keep saying or child or young person, so let me just ask you this question, Chelsea, do you work with all age groups?
I do. So I work with the learners at the primary schools that I'm based at, but we also do offer services to the parents and the teachers at the school, grandparents as well. So any type of guardian that were looking for services concerning their learner or their child or any concern that they might have.
Mm-hmm.
So it does extend to outside of just the youth, yeah.
Yes. Well, of course, and I would imagine if you can, I mean, for lack of a better term, if you can get them while they are younger, and then equip them with potentially the tools. The reality is, as much as organizations like the Cape Flats Youth Development Program, as much as you attempt and you try your best and exert yourselves to make a difference, structurally and systemically, you can't change anything. So ultimately, these problems still exist.
Yes, and I think that's why our gender-based violence program is so integral as well, because we are starting young. So we work with grade 5s and grade 6s, and so we offer this life skills program essentially that does delve into gender-based violence as well. And so it kind of just covers, kind of teaching children about GBV issues and about, unsafe and safe behaviors, boundaries, empowerment, understanding your rights, the importance of consent, all of those things, kind of essentially the goal is to break cycles of violence and encourage healthy relationships. And I think that's also important to start young so that they are equipped with this information and they can, as they grow up, they start implementing that into their lives. They bring it outside or take it outside of just the school environment. They take it into their home environment, how they interact with different groups of people. And
we always talk about the challenges, and of course those are there's a lot that that young people face, and I'm sure that as a social worker also there are days where you feel really we one needs that extra motivation because of the amount of work that is to be done. Do you turn to success stories then? Are there success stories that you'd like to share with us? Okay, so if I can say it like this, because success story sounds almost too superficial or too simplistic to say, but maybe stories that stand out for you, where you've really seen the impacts of the work that you are doing.
I think for now, at the moment, I'm just like at the beginning stages of, intervention and working with my learners. So I think it's a bit early for me to actually have some success stories to kind of share with you, because we are just starting. Well, for me personally, I've started recently at the organization. So I'm kind of working on me getting to that point where I can share, my successes involving that. But we take it one step at a time. As you mentioned, it does become become a bit difficult, or I won't say difficult, but it can be draining because you constantly need to be on as a social worker. So finding little joys to kind of keep yourself going, and working with children especially, there are constant moments of joy working with them. You know, when you see a child kind of open up, get out of their shell, because once they come to you, the first time they come to you, they can be very reserved, very shy. So, you know, seeing how they open up, how they progress, how they are starting to, you know, implement change or starting to look at life differently, because they are receiving intervention and support, is always a joyful experience, I think.
Yeah, and that's why a work like like what you are doing, being a social worker, it's a calling. Exactly, because one is working with people, and it's not something that you can say at the end of a day's work that there it is in terms of productivity, because it's obviously it's a timeless process. How is the organization sustained?
So we have funders, like with the National Lottery Commission. We do have other funders as well that you know, assist our organization, that offer donations, that we are able to continue with our outreach programs and, you know, offer as much support as possible. Yeah.
Now, if a learner, for example, does a learner have to be referred from the school, or say if there's a young person that's not at one of the schools that you are based at, if is it possible for somebody to approach you?
Yes, of course. We would never turn anyone away that is seeking assistance or asking for help. Usually, with my referrals now, a teacher or a parent, a concerned parent, will refer the learner to me. They'll come for a session and kind of discuss, you know, what the cause of concern is. And then we move from there. But I have had instances where a learner was not at or enrolled in the schools that I was working at, but they still came and asked for assistance, and I can offer assistance. I can, you know, if I'm not the one that will take on the case, I can always refer it out, just to ensure that some form of intervention is being done.
Now, how do we ensure? So, for example, I imagine that at times you may have a learner that's almost reluctant to accept that type of intervention, even though he or she may be referred. How do you ensure that a learner keeps coming back, particularly when you realize that there's lots of work that needs to be done, or that this learner really requires the intervention?
So what I would do, the learners are at this. It is enough from a school perspective. The learners are at school. So if I need to see a learner for a session, you know, I would just go to their classroom and kind of ask the teacher if I could borrow them for a short period of time. I usually do have their addresses as well. So we do offer home visits if it's necessary. So then I can kind of engage with them in that sense. So there are means to getting the child to a session or involving them in a session. But you also kind of have to meet the client where they are at. So a lot of the times the learners might be hesitant to receiving help. But it's then just kind of taking it at their pace, showing that, you know, I'm still interested. I want to be there. I want to help you. I want to be involved. And at some point, they do kind of, you know, realize that someone is here to assist, someone wants to help. And then they kind of, you know, it becomes easier to get them involved or to get them engaged. Yeah.
Yeah, because I would imagine that sometimes young people and particularly younger children, given the fact that they are born into those circumstances, they grow up there. That's the only reality they know. Even the idea around why do I require help, because that even in itself may be a question that for them is not even relevant.
Yeah, it's just making sure that you have a lot of patience, you know, showing them that you do care, you are interested. That usually helps a lot. A lot of learners don't receive adequate, you know, attention or affection, and so you kind of offer that and see how that plays into how they respond to you. And 9 times out of 10 it will work.
I also imagine that given that, I mean, there's so many other, and I don't want to stereotype about this, but we know that that matters like teenage pregnancy, drug use, drug abuse, I should say, and many other issues, even alcohol abuse from a very young age. These are all realities. Is it such that it's necessary for the Cape Flats Youth Development Program to network with other organizations, and then how do you put that? How do you put that in place? How do you implement that?
Networking is very important. Like I mentioned, I'm only one person. I can't always offer the exact service that a learner would need. So then in that case, I would get into contact with different organizations within the area and kind of liaise with them, explain what the situation is, ask if they are able to offer assistance. We do work directly with DSD as well. So then I can always just refer a case to them, and then they will take it on and provide additional services, or kind of connect the client with different organizations that could assist with that issue or that concern.
Now, again, not at the risk of stereotyping, how important is it then for parents? We know that is part of the issue, part of the bigger issue, that we always, when we think about parents, we think about these ideal scenarios, two-parent household and children being taken care of. We know that one of the big issues exactly within many of these areas that you mentioned earlier on is the fact that for many parents having to go to work early, or being drug abusers themselves, or whatever it may be, but there's not always somebody to take care of the child in the way that child requires. How important is it then for your work that parents get involved, and can you do the work without that involvement if necessary?
Parents their involvement is very important when it comes to working with their child. A lot of the time, like you mentioned, there could be alcoholism or drug abuse and things. So when I do take on a case and I kind of identify these concerns, we reach out to the parents and discuss, what the issue is and what they can do to assist their child. But a lot of times there's no support for the parents themselves. So they're struggling with this issue and they kind of need intervention in that regard. So then we can then connect the parent with an organization that focuses on that specific issue and offer them then that support, so that they can also, better themselves, can also improve their situation, can, so that they don't feel left behind as well, offer that support to them. And then through that support and intervention, they can then become capable of looking after or taking care of their child, because at the end of the day, we want families to remain together. We want children to have their parents, be supportive and affectionate and all those nice things, like you said. We want parents to be involved, but we also need to understand that sometimes they aren't able to at that particular moment. So how are we going to help them get to the point where they can be involved and where they can, support their child? So yeah, it's very important that we connect parents with the proper resources. If they aren't able to at that exact moment, then, there is the option of having a child possibly placed in foster care, kind of a safe placement, so that we can focus on that particular issue with the client. Like if it is severe drug abuse or alcoholism, get that sorted and then bring the child back into the home. And now we work together to kind of better the situation overall.
I wanted to ask you, Erlen, because earlier when you spoke about the for example, the welfare program, which is when you say that is particular types of counselling that's offered, and when you mentioned the importance of the networking and the collaboration, even with government departments, I would imagine, all to support this particular child. But then you also have another program, your life skills portfolio. Is this
Yes.
sort of something that's if one can call it, for maintenance matters? So teaching and giving these young people the skills, the necessary skills, so that they understand a little bit more about their circumstances and be able to still thrive in the face of challenges that they do face. Tell us a little bit about that particular program.
Yes, so our life skills program, like I mentioned earlier, we do work at the moment. We are working with the grade fives and the grade sixes at both Itemba and Zeralda Park Primary. So we cover a bunch of different topics concerning life skills. So, like I mentioned, the GBV program, we offer, you know, personal hygiene. We offer sex education as well, all the like different topics that kind of make up, what it means to have life skills, essentially, like how we can equip the children with effective tools, go into the world, and making sure that they are aware of what their rights are as children, what their rights would be as they continue growing up, becoming adults, how they can view their situation from a different perspective, but also how they can possibly improve their situation. Because at the end of the day, empowerment is very important. We want to empower children, to make them know that they are not limited to where they are at the moment. They are not limited to their current environment, and that, the sky is the limit. There is so much that they can do, that they will be able to do, if we just offer them that those skills, the knowledge, the support. Because you can't reach goals alone. You need to have, a stepping stool, and we need to make sure that each child is receiving that stepping stool. Yeah.
Just in closing, Chelsea, are there contact details if anybody was listening right now would like to refer somebody, or perhaps want to come and see you? How can somebody contact you?
So we do have both an Instagram page and a Facebook page. It's the Cape Flats Youth Development Programs, and then I could provide my email address as well,
Yes.
if they wanted to speak to me directly. So it's social, all in small letters.
Okay.
Social worker dot cfydp@gmail.com.
At gmail.com. Okay.
Yes.
Social worker .cfydp@gmail.com, and then you can email Chelsea directly if you know of anybody in the area that perhaps requires some assistance or some type of support. Chelsea, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Perhaps in closing, if you want to maybe just use the next minute or so just to send out a message or what you would like to leave with our listeners.
Okay, well, firstly, thank you for having me here today. In closing, I would just like to say, I feel like I'm thrown on the spot. Maybe just.
It's fine. It's fine. I just want to say then from our side, the work that the Cape Flats Youth Development Program is doing is incredibly important. We know that a lot of those programs, that the kind of work that people like yourself do, it just goes under the radar because there's so much to be done. So I suppose it's difficult, as we said earlier on, sometimes to keep motivated. But yes, just know that the work is amazing, and I think it's important for us, to put it out there that there are organizations like this that exist. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Chelsea.
Thank you for having me. Oh, and I will just say, I think that it's just important that we allow, or we give young people some place. You know, they are experiencing life for the first time. So I think patience and affection do go a long way. So that will be my
No.
ending message. Yes.
Thank
But
you
thank you
so
again
much.
for having
You're
me.
welcome. You're welcome, Chelsea. And people like Chelsea Augustine, who knows better what really is required. And as she said, sometimes it's as simple, as seemingly simple, and apparently not so simple, to support our young people, to support the children, our children. And then I suppose also for us, those of us that are in positions where we can encourage our children also to be aware of what is happening on in areas that Chelsea has identified, and so they don't live with their heads in the sand around us, and understand that that jong mense, dis baie uitdagings vir hulle. That's how we wrap up our first segment. That was On the Journey. Stay with us on 100.4 FM.